Okay, we are. I say we're live, but we are live at the moment. But we'll record this and play it back very very quickly when we finish. Joe, welcome back to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Fresh coffee brewing from the Coffee Boy. Man,
All
good
right.
coffee. Joe, what's your beverage this morning, Joe? Do you want to go into that or
Oh, I'm on cup number two. Cup number two of the coffee.
okay? You got
It's
some of that?
tasting good this
Oh,
morning.
coffee. Okay, not one of those Bear
Yeah,
Bryant
listen.
beverages, then. Okay.
No. Listen, this is a big day for me. This is Kentucky Derby Day. So I
Oh
went down
wow,
there
wow.
yesterday. Went down to the parlor and made my bets for the races
Really?
yesterday and the races today. I'll be giving out my pick later
Wow.
on in the show.
Oh, you're gonna give it
And
to us? Okay.
Yeah, I hit for some money. I'm going to go down there today and cash in and make a couple more bets. And, I got action today. It's all about the action, Scott.
Oh, I know. That deserves another round of coffee here. There we
All
go.
right.
I tell you what, JC,
All
we're
right.
overworking it. Hey, he's JC's got a good show on Thursday nights, and Mad Max does too.
Oh, I know.
Have you had a
I
chance to
recommend
listen?
that to everybody. Don't miss it. JC in the pub, spinning them tunes to make you woom,
I saw Pat
swoon,
Travers. I
whatever.
saw Pat Travers May 1st. I told you about it in detail.
You know what who I'm going to see next month? Three
Who's that?
Dog Night. Three Dog Night.
Oh wow, just an
Yeah.
old fashioned love
Fashion
song
Love song. Yeah, they got a lot of
playing
great
on
songs
the
and stuff. So,
radio.
yep, they got one or two of the original members is still singing with them. One guy just passed away, but they got
Yeah.
I think Hutton is still singing with them. And then
Sometimes those, yeah,
and
sometimes those groups will hire younger guys to kind of,
yeah, 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 sure. And
kind
then
of push some more energy into the group. I think Alan
yep,
Parsons did that one time when I saw them.
yeah,
I don't.
the Beach Boys did that. Then in August, I'm going to see the Spinners. The new Spinners, same as the old Spinners. I saw them last year, and man, they sound just like the original Spinners, and they got the blessing from the original Spinners. These guys were good. Had a great time. I'm going again this year.
Yeah, Joe. Let me expound on Three Dog Night for a minute because probably just an old fashioned love song was maybe their biggest song. They did a couple other
No,
songs. What was the
no, their
biggest one?
biggest song. Listen, their biggest song, no doubt about it, was "Joy to the World."
Well, I'd have to put that in the ELO area. But JC knows what I'm talking about there. Joy to the World was not my favorite tune, but I did like just an old fashioned love song. There's a
Yeah,
song I like. There's a song I like by. I know at times people say this show is all about me, but it's all about New York Joe too, and it's all about
yep.
our audience. But I wanted to tell you they have a song. They don't play it. Maybe you don't hear it as much, but I hope they do it when you're at the show. It's called "Out in the Country" by Three Dog Night. It's a great song too. It's kind of, I wouldn't call it an album track. It's just one of their lesser known songs. It's very very good. Expounding on Three Dog Night, they were in Columbus, Georgia. They played, and you know this area in Northeast Florida. They played. I'm pretty sure it was at the Orange Park Thrasher Horn Center because we got a lot of venues throughout Northeast Florida. I was at Pat Travers on May 1st. It was really a good show, Joe. Intimate atmosphere at the Five on Park Street
Uh-huh.
in the Riverside area, Jacksonville, Florida, and Pat can still play the guitar. I'm trying to think. I think Pat's about 74 years old, might be 75, man, but he can play that
Wow.
guitar. He can still strum it. He does a little bit of a windmill on the guitar when he's playing it. He says his windmill goes in the opposite direction of the way Pete Townsend used to do his or something. I've heard that in some of the interviews he did. But he did mention Jacksonville during the show. He said back, I believe in the 70s, maybe it was 77. He said that Jacksonville, Florida was the first city he ever did a United States show in. And I believe about 77, he was still living in the UK at the time.
Uh-huh.
And he's originally from Canada, like Toronto,
Yeah,
Ontario.
yeah.
I think his family moved to maybe Ottawa
Okay.
back in the day. But he's a nice guy. He's really kind of down to earth. He's got a new album coming out, believe it or not, Joe. And
No.
he's got a new song out about a dog he found, a rescue dog that I thought was pretty good. Daisy Jane or something like that's the name of the dog, and he played the
Really?
song. Yeah, he played the song during his. I'll get an update on that too. But yeah, Pat Travers. He mentioned Joe. He must have moved to Florida now, like a lot of people have.
Well, that sure.
For the weather and the politics, obviously. But what I was going to
Yeah,
tell you, Joe, is
yeah.
he said he didn't even know this venue existed, the Five that he played at last night on May 1st. But he said it's only an hour. He clocked it. He said it's 1 hour and 59 minutes from his house. So I think he'll be coming back sometime again.
All right.
So we're going to talk about the draft, Joe. We're brought to you by
Okay.
Salsa Realty and Capital, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. We know about Mad Max's show on Wednesday night. Great music. JC's show, JC in the Pub on Thursday nights. And we've got those shows and sponsors mentioned on our bottom ticker. We're going to get to the NFL draft. Joe, what was the biggest surprise that you saw? We know the Raiders got the Mendoza guy out of Indiana at number 1, but what were the surprises for you?
I think Kansas City moving up to get that defensive back. That was a surprise. The Titans taking a wide receiver, Carnell Tate, at number 4. That was a surprise. And obviously the Rams taking Ty Simpson at number 13. That's probably the biggest surprise of the first round.
Well, I know a little bit about the GM with the Rams. When I lived up in Alabama for a few years, of course, I lived in Georgia. I've lived in, Jacksonville most of my life, but in Florida here, North Florida. But Les Snead, the GM, he is originally from Alabama. He loves SEC players, and apparently he fell in love with the Alabama quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think they were looking ahead, and even though there's a lot of quarterbacks going to be in next year's draft, I don't think the Rams were thinking they were going to have a chance. And obviously they like Simpson, and they'll let him sit behind Matt Stafford for the next couple of years.
Yeah. I could see him playing maybe in year 3, and he'll probably, after a couple of years behind Stafford, man, he'll probably have come a long way, I would think.
Yeah, that's what I would thinking. It seems like the Rams planned it out, and, they're one of the better organizations in the NFL as far as this kind of stuff goes. So they know what they're doing. But that would be
Raiders
the biggest surprise. Yeah, that was no surprise. That's for sure. So
I'm looking at it now. Let's see. Las Vegas Raiders took quarterback Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. The Jets took the edge rusher David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Arizona grabbed that running back Jeremiah Love, and maybe the better running back was the number 2 guy at Notre Dame, right?
Well, I don't know that he was the better running back, but he's going to be good. He's going to be good. So
you mentioned Carnell Tate. We talked about the Jaguars a lot in our last couple of podcasts that you were not on with us, and now you're on with us, and now we're taking a look at more of the other teams picking. Carnell Lake, wide receiver. Carnell Tate, I'm sorry. I got him confused with old Carnell Lake, the old defensive back with the Steelers who played with the Jaguars at the tail end of his career. Didn't play long in Jacksonville, though. But Carnell Lake was a great player. But this is wide receiver Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Joe, there was a trend here. A lot of Ohio State players were drafted early. They had some big-time players, didn't they?
They what'd they have? 3 guys in the top 10 or top 12.
I'm looking at it.
Well, maybe 4. They had Reese and Carnell Tate and then Sonny Styles and then Caleb Downs. So 4 in the top 12 were Ohio State guys.
Yeah, Arvell Reese, Ohio State, was picked number 5 by the Giants. Kansas City via Cleveland. Cornerback Mansour Delane out of LSU. Washington Commanders took the first linebacker, Sonny Styles, out of Ohio State. So as I'm doing the counting, Joe, I see it looks like 4 Ohio State guys in the first 11 picks.
Yep.
So
Okay.
So now, of course, let's see, the Jags did not have a pick in the first round. Seattle needed a running back after their running back bolted and signed with the Chiefs. And running back, you called it last time we talked to you, Joe. Running back Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. You thought the Jags would go after him, and maybe they should have. But running back,
no, he was still available. We'll get to the Jags in a minute, and that's a sad state of affairs.
Well, the coffee boy is he's kind of bashed. He has bashed Gladstone's draft to a degree.
Yeah.
He bashed Gladstone's draft to such a degree where he was calling him Badstone, not Gladstone, but Badstone.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I just was reading a synopsis this morning.
Okay.
And it was one of the NFL guys, and he gave the Cleveland Browns, what had the number 1 draft class, he gave them an A, and he gave Jacksonville was number 31, and he gave them a D+. Okay. So well, they didn't address their needs, and they just, it seemed like they were reaching except for the one offensive lineman.
Yeah, I like the guard. You're talking about the guard. Pregnan out of Oregon. I saw the film on him. He can move people off the line of scrimmage. Big guy. The Jags needed a guard. They've needed a good guard for a long time, honestly.
Yeah.
They've got some guards on the roster. I mean, they drafted a guard, but he didn't play much last year. That what was his name? Wyatt Milam. And hopefully, maybe he was hurt a little bit last year. But there's going to be a lot of good competition at guard for the Jaguars. Now, my question to you, Joe, is this, because a lot of people, I see some good things in the draft, but I see some things that could have been done differently for the Jaguars. The second round pick, the tight end, he played at Nebraska originally, and then he, transferred and got on scholarship. I believe he was a walk-on at Nebraska. But he went to Texas A&M and really developed into a good blocking tight end. But now you're picking a blocking tight end in the second round. However, he only caught 18 or 19 passes. I just don't think Texas A&M's offense was designed to really feature the tight end, maybe.
Well, the other thing is, and I don't like this pick at all for the Jaguars. They had other issues that they needed to address before a blocking tight end. The Jags were third in the league in 3 receiver sets. So they're not using the tight end all that much, to be honest with you, maybe on running plays and stuff, but you really don't want to take Strange off the field. He's the guy that can catch the ball. So I think this was a bad pick.
Well,
there was other players available. I still don't know why they didn't address the running back situation. You basically got 2 guys, and Rodriguez has a history of being hurt and with concussions from time to time. And Tootin has never carried a load. He hasn't carried a number 1 running back load.
Well, and ETN, basically, he was consistent and lasted throughout the entire season. Meanwhile, Brayshaw Tootin is a guy coming out of college. He's not used to probably that long of a season being a rookie running back. Sometimes that does come into play. Sometimes it doesn't, but he's going to have to get used to that in 2026.
Yeah.
Because you look down at the Jags draft, they didn't draft running backs early. Was there a running back? I don't even think there was a running back drafted by the Jags.
No, there wasn't.
So you have analyzed this, Joe. You really have. I'm really impressed with when you came out with that Jadarian, what was the guy's name? Price?
Yeah.
I'll pull him up. He was at tail end of the first round, Jadarian Price.
He was the last pick of the first round by the Seattle Seahawks.
And the Seattle Seahawks lost their starting running back.
Yep.
As
Kenny
you know.
Walker and Charbonnet is had an ACL, so there's no telling when he's going to be back. They needed a running back. It was a good pick for Seattle.
I saw
Now
some
the
guys
other
on. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Now, the other team I'd like to touch on, as you well know, I'm living in NOLA, so I'm a big New Orleans Saints fan. I love the pick of the New Orleans Saints grabbing Tyson in the first pick. I believe he's the best wide receiver. They were making a big deal about his injury history and stuff, but that can come and go. And
Okay.
he's gonna be setting it up for Tyler Shuff. I'm very proud of the way the Saints used the draft.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm happy
and
about it.
I'm looking at the first round, Joe. I don't think the Saints had a pick in the first round, did they?
Yes, they did. Go,
They did?
come on. Pick number 8, Jordan
Oh,
Tyson, the
there
wide
it is. There it
receiver
is.
from Arizona State, the number
Oh,
1 wide
Jordan.
receiver
Oh,
in the
yeah.
draft. Yeah,
Pronoun-
quit burying your head in the sand, Scott. I know what you're up to.
Hey, what if it was wide receiver Jordan Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Arizona
Yep.
State. Okay, that was number 8. Hey, the Browns, it depended on what group you looked at. Like, I'm getting more phone calls here at World Headquarters. We always get a lot of calls, especially when
people
we're
are complaining.
Well, they are. They are. The coffee's good. The Jaguars picks are debatable, right?
Yeah, that's what they're calling to complain about.
Well, I'll tell you this. I saw the press conference when Gladstone came on after the draft, after the draft was completely over. And Gladstone, for just a moment, Joe, just a glimmer, it looked like he had this real worried look on his face, like, man, now I'm going to have to explain all this. And he did.
Yep.
He said the right things. He said that's the guy they were hunting up. That's what he said, just like Travis Hunter.
That's what they're always good at. That's the standard line. That's what they all say. Oh, that's the guy we were looking at. That's the guy.
Yeah. but now let's talk about the guy. Nate Borkacher was number, I guess, 56 overall, taken in the second round. A guy that caught 18 or 19 passes. To me, when I looked at the highlight reel, and all players' highlight reels look good, they put the best stuff on there. But he looks like he's got good hands. He's a blocker, and he may develop into a pass catcher. Mercedes Lewis, the longtime Jaguars tight end, who's probably spent 17 years in the NFL with other teams too, Packers, Bears, Denver, etc., and spent 11 or 12 years with the Jaguars. He came into the league, Joe, as a pass-catching tight end. That's why they drafted him as high as they did. But he developed himself into probably one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
and he played for a long time too.
He was
Didn't
on
he play
Denver's
till he was like 40?
year. Yeah, he was like 41.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's like 40, 41, sure.
I think he was on Denver's practice squad, and then he was put on the roster. I don't know if he's still on Denver's roster now, but he was on the roster some in 2025. A guy that played 11 or 12 years with the Jaguars. There's a little story, and I told JC this story about how the Jaguars parted ways with, really a legend, Mercedes Lewis, almost a legend, almost legendary status, because he played 11 or 12 years with the Jaguars, provided leadership on some bad teams when Gus Bradley was coaching. And what happened is the Jags were trying to sign Austin Seferian-Jenkins. You remember him?
Vaguely.
They tried to sign him. He lasted 5 or 6 games in his career after they signed him. They had just signed Mercedes Lewis to a new contract, and the GM, Dave Codwell, the former GM, Dave Codwell, had to pick up the phone, call him, and tell him they were having to release him after he signed a contract like 3 or 4 weeks earlier. And it was really one of the worst moves a GM could ever make, especially in Jacksonville. So that's one thing that happened to Mercedes Lewis. JC knows all about Mercedes Lewis. I hope he'll comment here on this episode. Episode show number 33 is what we're doing now, Joe.
Okay.
33 is James Stewart, former running back, with the Jaguars, 33, Tommy Durrance back in the early 70s for the Florida Gators. Maybe you know of a number 33, Joe.
Boy, that's a tough number. I'm
okay. Well,
trying to think. Nothing comes to mind right off the top of my head.
I think my dad wore 33 when he played college ball at Florida Southern, I believe.
Huh.
So I'll remember my dad today. But what I'll tell you is this. Going back to the draft, this is a question I put to John Gaylor, our contributor and correspondent. So we draft Nate Borkacher in the second round. We drafted a defensive tackle out of Texas A&M in the third round. We don't know how good it'll be. We drafted a guard that I think the guard, I think he may have been a steal in the third round. The guard was the best draft pick of the day, I'm sure. The best pick of the draft for the Jaguars, right?
Yeah.
Pregnant, big guy, bowling ball type built guy that can move people
right.
off the line of scrimmage. But here's my question, Joe, and I'll let you expound on all this because I think when I ask you this question, it's going to lead to a lot of opinions from you. If the Jaguars, let's forget about the running back aside for a moment. Of course, I know you wanted the Jags to go in that direction. Let's say the Jaguars drafted a better defensive tackle in the second round. There had to be some better ones in the second round than in the third round. You draft a defensive tackle in the second round. You draft that guard in the third round. And do you think Borkacher is still sitting there in the third round after the Jags draft the defensive tackle and the guard?
Did they have 2 third-round draft choices or just 1?
They had 3.
Oh, yeah, he would have definitely been available later on in the third round.
So probably
should have got a defensive tackle, edge rusher in the second.
Yes.
The offensive lineman in the third, and then go for this tight end. Blocking tight ends are not that hard to find.
Well, and JC told me, said, man, they should have got a blocking tight end in the 6th round. That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
But Gladstone says this is the guy he was hunting up, Borkacher, and he got him in the second round. He was afraid he was going to lose him. That's what he said in the press conference. Ran in a roundabout way.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of blocking tight ends out there. The Saints picked up a blocking tight end out of Georgia in the, I believe it was the 3rd or 4th round. I think it was the 3rd round.
Who was the defensive lineman you got out of Georgia? He looked like a pretty good
one. That was Miller.
Okay. Mad Max.
I don't know what I can't remember his first name, but
yeah, Mad Max is a big Georgia Bulldog fan. So what do you think about the defensive lineman they got out of Georgia, Joe?
I don't know that much about him, but he's 6'2", 330 pounds, and he's going to clog up the middle. They got to work on his pass rushing, but he should be a load to try to move out of the way. So,
well, the Jags have re-signed Trayvon Walker, as you know.
Yep.
A couple of years ago they re-signed Trevor Lawrence, and these are the key players. The Jags got they've got a nucleus of players that could take them to the playoffs, but we don't know how far. I think Trayvon Walker is a good player, but not a great player yet. I think the Jags are banking on him developing into a great player. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does make sense. But one of the things that worries me going into this year is Houston has improved. The Titans obviously have improved. I don't know that Jacksonville has necessarily improved. So the division's going to be much tougher this year than it was last year. The Colts started out good, and then they just went downhill. And if Jones is available to play, they'll be okay. But I think Houston's going to be give the Jaguars quite the fight for first place, and Tennessee's not going to be a pushover this year.
Yeah, and it looks like we're finally going to get some rain in Jacksonville, too. We got about a 60% chance of rain. There was a big fire up in South Georgia that engulfed about 22,000 acres up in Brantley County, and now they're going to get some help from the rain today on Saturday, May the 2nd. We're going to get some rain in North Florida. We've had really some drought areas here, Joe.
Yeah, we had 24 hours of rain here in NOLA, so you're probably getting the storm that came through here yesterday.
Yeah,
it's on its way to Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's pushing into South Georgia. It looks like there'll be more rain in Georgia, but we'll get some of it later in the day today on Saturday. It's cloudy. I might have heard a little thunder out there now. But so back to the draft, Joe. We talk about the Cleveland Browns and some of these other teams. Cleveland, and it depends on what entity or guy you're listening to, whether it's Todd McShay or it's us or whoever, or JC, or even our contributor correspondent, John Gaylor. Cleveland was given an A+ by one of the groups that I think they're called Chat Sports. They got an A+. And the Jags got a C- in that group. And then you just told me about something you read, said the Jags got a D.
Listen, you're grasping for anything with a C-. The Jags got a D+ at best.
And what about Joe? Now we got to bring somebody in there with us. I know that the 49ers had a bit of a rough draft too.
Yeah, they picked a lot of players. Nobody knows really what they picked, but they had a lot of injuries last year, so we'll see what happens. But the Jags, I wasn't happy with their draft. They're hopefully there'll be listen, the key again is Travis Hunter. You gave up this year's draft to get him last year. He's got to make the move and become the player that that you gave up the two first-round draft choices for. So
and still the controversy continues. Everybody's saying he's going to play cornerback full time. Maybe like I'm saying, he plays cornerback full time, and then he plays 4 to 7 plays on offense, and it essentially would be the Jags maybe number 4 wide receiver until he can prove himself more on offense. Do you see it like that?
Yes. And we talked about this before. I want to see him as a punt and kickoff return man.
Okay.
I'd rather see him doing that than the fourth wide receiver.
Well, and cornerbacks do that. Deion Sanders back in the day and many other guys. Now, I will tell you this. One of the guys the Jaguars does have returning kicks or punts or both or either or is the guy – the kid out
you're going to say Washington. But listen, Scott, let me ask you a question. If you got one football and you got two guys, Travis Hunter and Washington, who are you going to give the ball to? Who do you want to see? Whose hands do you want the ball in? Travis Hunter's obviously.
Well, I think they're both.
So you got to get him the ball.
You got an investment in Travis Hunter, a big investment.
Did you see what Seattle did with Shaheed last year when they got him from the Saints? They threw him a couple of passes here and there, but he was doing end around bubble sweeps and returning kickoffs and punts, and he was a difference maker. That's what you got to use Travis Hunter for.
Yeah. Well, Tony Baselli, the executive vice president, came out just a couple of days ago. And he said something to the effect of, hey, he's going to be a big part of our team. Kind of insinuating, he may still be playing more offense or doing more things than just playing cornerback. Josh Allen came out in I saw a post that Josh Allen was quoted in saying that, hey, he wants Travis Hunter on defense all the time at cornerback.
Who said that?
That was Josh Allen. The Jags defensive end.
Oh man!
But let me say this, Joe. This and a lot of people know that I've pounded this before. If you get a good pass rush, them guys on the back end, those guys on the back end, the defensive backs, and the Jags are deep at defensive backs. They're going to be that much better if you can get a pass rush on the quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I think.
Of course. Everybody's better with a pass rush.
The Jags
makes everybody look better.
They got it. The Jaguars got a load of defensive backs, almost as many wide receivers as DBs. The roster is pretty good, but and I will, if I'm going to say it, there's a glimmer of hope from the draft. The Jaguars did get guys on the line of scrimmage, the defensive tackle, Borkinger, the blocking tight end, and then they got the guard. So you've added two blockers to the offensive line, essentially, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, I did notice this. I don't know if this is going on around the league, but it may be. The Jaguars during games were bringing on an extra offensive lineman for several plays that I saw during the season.
Were they like tush push plays?
I think it was like they were bringing out an extra guard or an extra tackle, usually an extra guard off the bench or something, just to get the line of scrimmage to improve the running game, actually. On in certain situations.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you're fairly happy with the Saints draft. You're down on the.
I'm very happy with the Saints draft. I'm expecting big things from the Saints this year.
I think Chat Sports said the Saints got a B. What did the guy you read? What did he say about the Saints?
We were I believe a C plus or a B minus. We're in the middle of the road. We're like number 15 or 16, which is understandable. There was a lot, there's a lot of teams that had 2 first-round picks this year, 5 or 6 of them, I believe.
But no matter what entity or media group or even individuals that have opinions, nobody gave the Jags really a glowing report. Some people said, hey, it was okay. It filled some needs, but there was nobody saying the Jags had a good or great draft.
No, they didn't. So there was nobody worth their salt was going to say they had a good draft.
Okay. So Cleveland had an A+ draft, according to Chat Sports. You read where Cleveland had an A, so they were near the top. I think they said the Jets had a good draft. Who had the best draft, Joe?
Boy, that's a good question. I would say it's between Cleveland and the Jets. The problem is with the Jets, they're going to screw these guys up, and they're not going to become players until they leave the Jets and go someplace else.
Well, the Jets haven't. I don't think the Jets haven't been to the Super Bowl since Joe Namath, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And the Jaguars have never been to the Super Bowl. Heck, I'm just wanting an AFC champion. I want to get to that AFC title game. Just get a Lamar Hunt trophy. That's as a Jags fan, that's all I want right now. Let's get a Lamar Hunt trophy, Joe.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be.
That would be nice.
Jags have been there 3 times. The officials cost us in that New England one. But I know you don't want to really talk about that, Joe.
No, I know, but I'm not gonna.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's right. But
I know you know.
Yeah, the coffee was good this morning, Joe. I appreciate your expertise. I wish you could have been at the Pat Travers show with me last night, but I know you were out in NOLA, New Orleans, and you're getting some good shows out there, right?
Oh, we're getting great shows out here. It's one of the Austin, Texas, and New Orleans are 2 of the hubs for music.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
On PBS, they used to put Austin City Limits on all the time where they'd show shows.
Yep.
Joe, I appreciate you joining me, man. I had a great time at Pat Travers, had a great time talking to you on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. And hey, everybody's got opinions about the draft. Leave your comments right here on episode show number 33.
What? Wait a second, Scott. You're not going to let me go before I give you my Kentucky. Yeah. I'm gonna give you guys my Kentucky Derby pick for this afternoon.
Okay.
Ready? I'd like a drum roll.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring the coffee boy back out here again.
Yeah.
There you go.
The number 15 horse. The number 15 horse, Emerging Market.
Okay, you got to repeat it again, Joe, because I think we were kind of fading out there for a minute.
Okay, the number
Derby winner.
the number 15 emerging market. Emerging
market is the name
market.
of the horse.
There's the name of the horse. Number 15 horse. Emerging market.
Number 15, emerging market. And I must tell every emerging market, right?
Yep.
There's the gong there. Let's hope it's for good luck. Joe, you put a little money on that horse?
Oh, yeah.
Joe, I know from the past. I know you study those horse racing books. I do know that.
Yeah, of course,
hey, Joe,
you've seen me.
Yeah. Hey, what about what about some of these guys that who I'm talking about? But I think some of these guys, these old time mobsters, I think they would be proud of me this morning because I'm putting Italian sweet cream in my coffee this morning.
Yeah, they'd be very proud of you.
I know they would. I like watching Franchise. I haven't watched him in a while. I'm not even sure that's how you pronounce his name, but those are pretty good videos.
Oh, they're great videos.
They are. I've sent you those videos from time to time. Joe, thanks for joining us. Do you got one final thing you want to add about the draft? Because it's one of your favorite times of the year, I think.
Yeah, well, it's over, which now means we're in the home stretch for the NFL season to start kicking in. It was a rough couple of months, and we got another month before training, maybe month and a half before training camps get ready to open and preseason and stuff. I'm excited about this year. I'm excited about the Jaguars. I'm excited about the Saints. So everybody's a winner right now after the draft.
And, Hey, JC's excited about his Buffalo Bills. I think they had a pretty decent draft and got an edge rusher early too, I believe.
Well, I think, and they got DJ Moore from Chicago, the wide receiver. Yeah. Josh Allen's going to have a nice big target to throw to. So, Buffalo's going to be good. It's going to be a question. Let's see what happens with the coach in New England. That's another thing we haven't talked about. Yeah. We'll have to get to that next week, but that's going to be a bad situation. That's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, man. We're going to have to talk about the New England coach. Maybe the next episode we'll do that, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to.
Yep.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. And thank you for being here with us on episode show number 33, remembering James Stewart, former Jaguars running back for kind of a brief time. And I think he played in Detroit too, I believe. And Tommy Dirt's number 33 passed away sadly about 15 years ago or more. Was one of my favorite Florida Gators way back in the early 1970s as a running back. Joe, thank you for joining us. You have a great day, and we'll get together again real soon about the draft. And we're on the cusp of football season, and they'll do the schedule release will be soon, right?
That's coming up in a week or two.
Okay. Joe, you take care. Thank you for joining us, buddy.
My pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the expert, New York Joe, and your host, Scott. You guys have a great time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Joe, have a sip of that coffee from the old coffee boy.